everyone, and welcome to Mary Elizabeth Jones's Variety Hour.
Yay! Hooray! Hooray for Mary!
With my...
but with me. My name is Kaye Lazar.
Oh, he's my everyday host.
No, you're the host.
I'm the host, but he's my guest host.
I'm the guest host. I'm a co-host, like on the Mike Douglas show. They would have these. Mike Douglas would have a co-host, and sometimes it'd be someone really good, like John Rickles,
right?
And they'd have him for the whole week. But then, or Sammy Davis or somebody. Okay. This was back in the '60s.
Oh wow!
But then they would have somebody you don't really care about.
Yeah.
You say, oh gosh, do I have to watch them the whole week? He's the first, and then they host the show. I think Bobby Darin was one. So you can find it all on YouTube. But I remember one week I think John and Yoko were the co-hosts.
Wow.
On this show, so all week long they were on there, and there was an hour and a half show, and there was the Mike Douglas show, the Merv Griffin show. There was all these shows. I heard it last night. These were shows you watched when you were home from school.
Oh.
So you watched these shows, but they were very entertaining. A lot of good comedians on it and stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm the co-host, at least for this week.
Right.
Next week I'll be the special guest star. Week from that I'll be semi-regular. Well, that reminds me. I did for many years did the Gorgeous George show.
Right.
And they used to say I was the co-host of that, or the host, or that we shared the show.
Right.
But it was really Gorgeous George was the star of the show.
Right.
And rightly so. He did he really did. I was just there to be funny.
Right.
And so somebody said, "Are you the Ed McMahon on the show?" I said, "Ed McMahon, the guy goes, here's John, I'm not."
He was a Star Search.
And he didn't start. Well, it was Star Search. That was his show.
Yes.
But on the Johnny Carson show, he was basically just there to say, "Here's Johnny," and then announce who's going to be on the show.
Johnny.
And then he said, and then after that, all he said was, laughed at all the jokes, which is what I did,
right.
Whether they were funny or not. I need someone to laugh at all my jokes.
Right.
Everyone should.
I laugh at your jokes.
Well, that I love it. All right, now the other thing was so I'm on this show, and somebody said, "Are you the Ed McMahon of this show?" And I said, "Well, I guess when I started out, I was the Ed McMahon of the show, but then I got a little elevated up on the show, and then I became the Harvey Korman of the show."
Right.
To George's Carol Burnett. But then they said, "Wow, you make." Then a lot of people said they were disparaging maybe the host,
right,
and trying to build me up. Not that I was so great, but to get back at the host, they would say, would pick me up, and they would say, are you still the Harvey Korman of the show?" I said, "No, I think at this point I'm the Dick Cheney of the show." He was, as you know, Dick Cheney was the vice president in those days, and he was a very important guy as far as making the main person look better and better. But you don't even need me on the show. Goodbye.
Right.
No, I'll stay for the next hour. I have nowhere to go. I'm happy to be here. And in fact, before I came here, I had hair like a girl, as my dad would say. I had hair like a girl. I'm driving on. I mean, this is no joke. We're driving to the studio,
okay,
and to see you, and you're waiting for me. And I said I'm going to be about 20 minutes late. And what happened was, it doesn't matter to you whenever you see this, but it matters to the production people here.
Right.
And and so I said I got a haircut. So why'd you get a haircut? Well, the reason why I got a haircut was I was driving along, and a certain famous place that cuts hair have a sale right now for $6 haircut, $5.99. They said, "No, it's not $6, it's $5.99." Yeah, that big difference. So for $6, it's worth every penny.
Yeah.
You could. It'd be good at half the price. But but I actually do haircuts quite well. I got, I'm not joining the Navy, so don't think it's going to grow. But there's only in the pandemic, there's only the third haircut I've gotten.
Right.
I usually get them every 7 weeks or so.
Yeah,
to keep it, good.
Yeah.
It's good to be having haircuts.
Right.
You still get haircuts? When's the last time you got a hairdo?
It was like 2 years ago.
I wish I could have a haircut every 2 years.
But I'm thinking about maybe getting a summer haircut soon.
Summer haircut. You should get a mohawk.
I don't want a mohawk. I want my hair. I want short hair. This
You want
time.
get a mohawk?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I should say I was just kidding. And the reason why is, Mr. Jokester, whenever somebody says, I'm getting a haircut, what should I get? And even women will say this, I'm getting a hairdo, what should I get? And I always say, get a mohawk. Be like, just like Mrs. T. So I said, get a haircut, get a mohawk. And I've always been fearful that someone's going to come back, well, I got a mohawk because you told me to. I said, what? I didn't tell you to get it. I was just joking. So I always have to, before the conversation's over, I always have to say, I was just kidding about the mohawk. Get whatever you want. Unless you want to get a mohawk.
Right.
So, I'm kind of losing, well, I've been losing my hair for about 20 years, but I still can get a haircut. But a mohawk actually would work in my favor because, like, losing it on here.
Yeah.
So if I get a mohawk, it looks like I still got plenty of hair and I shaved it on the side. It would look perfect. Mr. T, young Mr. T.
Oh, Lordy.
And so I always tell them when I get a haircut,
Right.
give me the Elvis look. Which is like high on top and short on the side. Get it off the ears, get it off the thing.
Right.
And they also tell me not to, I should have turned that off. Anyway, they also tell me, so they said, well, you're losing it. Do you want it cut like Bruce Willis? I said, no, I don't want it like Bruce Willis. I don't think Bruce Willis wants it like Bruce Willis. But you take what you can. So you get so they give me, I say just cut very little off the top. I'm at the age now where they actually cut my eyebrows and I used to have as a teenager, I had these long sideburns, pork chop sideburns.
Yeah, Elvis Presley used to wear them.
Well, yeah, but the trouble is when you get older.
Yeah.
Or it's fine when you're a teenager.
Right.
And a lot of people still try to rock them, but the thing is, with sideburns, they make you look older, which is fine if you're trying to pass yourself off as old.
Right.
I had them. I'm not kidding. For a short time in college, I actually had the mustache, and the mustache becomes the sideburns becomes the mustache look.
Right.
Which makes no sense because then you just shave this part. Then I never had the beard with the no mustache look, the Abe Lincoln, or the jazz man look. Never did that. Some guys told me, I've met guys like that, and I said, why do you shave your mustache? And they said, you're hitting a sore spot here. I can't grow a mustache. I can grow a beard, but not a mustache. So I just try to look like the Pharaoh. So I could tell you a whole bunch of wild stuff about haircuts. So anyway, I always go there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really, I said $6. I saved a few bucks. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter how much a haircut costs, because it's what you're going to look like for the next 2 months at least, or certainly for the next 2 weeks. And there's nothing you could spend less than $20 or $30 that will change how you look to everyone you meet for the next 2 weeks. I mean, you eat a dinner in a restaurant. How much does restaurant food cost? Like about $6 or $7 now? $20?
Yeah.
And a tip and all that stuff. But I mean, you would spend, almost that much on a haircut. A meal is gone in an hour, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Then get out. We need the table.
Right.
Well, your haircut, so I always feel you should lavish a little bit more attention on your haircut. Figure out what you look like. And this is how I always tend to get a haircut I like. Not that it's not like every one of them, but the ballpark is there. I get a picture of myself. I keep it in my car. It's a picture of myself from about 20 years ago.
Wow.
When I had a good haircut. And then, by the time I get my haircut, I look like a mess. So I show it to the person cutting my hair, the barber, and I said, here, this is how I want it to look. And they'll say, well, a guy your age doesn't have that type of hair anymore, or the styles have changed since then. And I said, just do it that way. I will be happy. If you do it as close to that as possible, considering the situation, I will be happy.
Yeah.
I don't need Picasso to work on my hair. Rembrandt to work on my hair. I just want a guy who could draw a straight line to work on my hair. And thus so it doesn't matter if that's a well-trained barber or a person, always be on good terms with your barber, because your barber is if you do anything to mess them to make them mad at you, I was going to say something else. They make them mad at you, they'll give you the worst haircut.
Oh no.
I have a little shaky today.
Right.
The DTs. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
And then so also I found out a lot of things about hair, like a haircut really changes how you look.
Right.
I mean, for example, being in the theater like you and I.
Yeah.
I heard an actor on television say that when you have long hair, you get fatter. Because what? He says, well, what happens is you put in all this, like if you're in like Shakespeare or something, all this armor or all these headpieces and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you have to say, well, gee, my head is just this little thing next to all this weight of the costume. I gotta get a big wig. or a big crown or a big helmet or something to wear. And then once you get your hair cut, for some reason, maybe not immediately, but you start to get thinner looking. Maybe as the days go on.
Right.
Also, men, contrary to what all men think, men probably look better with shorter hair, crew cuts. They don't look as bad as they think, and they don't look as great as they think they look with long hair. Because you look at your old pictures where you have long hair. What was I thinking?
Yeah, exactly.
What was the Louis the 16th look?
My dad had long hair at one point years ago.
We all men do. I had the I had the Harpo Marx look.
He had
the Gene Wilder. How did your dad look?
My dad, he had it like back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like in the like mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the style that the men used to wear back in the 80s.
Yeah.
It was like, I think it was like part short and like long over here. So
yeah.
He used to wear it in ponytail and everything.
Ponytail, okay.
Yeah.
Well, people, what's weird is we think of men having short hair as a 20th century thing, but if you look back in history, like in the Civil War, men had long hair.
Yeah.
In the Revolutionary War, men had ponytails and wigs.
Yeah.
You had Louis XIV with the big head, big bushy black wig and everything.
Right.
Hair was so important to men in those days. They actually had a phrase. They were the big wigs.
Yeah.
The more important, the bigger your wig, the more important you were.
Right.
Oh, did you ever hear of a song called Yankee Doodle? It goes, how does it go? Hey, Yankee Doodle.
Into town, just
Riding.
to ride the pony.
Stuck a feather
in his hat and call it macaroni.
Now, does that make any sense?
Not really.
It doesn't. Well, it does make sense. I'll tell you how it makes sense. The macaronis has nothing to do with macaroni and cheese.
Oh, yeah.
They were, or the pasta. That has or little to do with. I don't think maybe something had to do with it, but not in the way. The macaronis were a group, I think, in Europe that tried to look fancier than they were. Thus stuck the feather in his cap, meaning, it's a feather in my cap. Whenever you saw a hat with a feather in it, it was always fancier.
Right.
And called it macaroni. That's what it's all about.
Oh, that's what it was about. I learned something new every day from him.
Something about music and everything.
Yeah.
So look at your best. It's important when you're on TV to look your best.
Right.
It's important. Come to work looking your best. You look very nice today. We have sort of the same thing going. This, you can't really tell, but this is a. I can tell you all what's going on here. Is this? Okay. This I didn't plan on talking about the coat, but the coat is by Alan Flusser.
Oh, okay.
And he had this deal. Alan Flusser is his designer out of New York or somewhere, and he had this deal with. Steinmart, and they were selling all these lovely sport coats.
Oh, yeah.
Trouble is, Steinmart, I think, at least around here, went out of business, so
I know.
all his stuff, I bought like everything that they were selling at a discount, so now I look like Mr. Big Shot, Alan Flusser. Now, Alan Flusser, if you don't know, you may not know who Alan Flusser is, But Alan Flusser was famous for 2 movies where the man had very distinct costumes in it.
Right.
If you ever saw Jack Nicholson in The Wishes of Eastwick, all those clothes were designed by Alan Flusser.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and the other one is probably more remembering about is Wall Street with Michael Douglas.
Oh, okay.
All those sharp suits and pinstripes that went left to right rather than up and down.
Oh, okay.
And of course the hairstyle. He was shoulder pads and everything. That was by that guy, and now I'm kind of stuck wearing his stuff until it all falls apart.
Okay.
This is a can't really see it very well. I always wear something on here.
That's a really pretty pen.
That's a really pretty pen. It's a swan.
Oh.
And it's by a friend of mine, John. I wear a lot of his stuff. It's advertising for him. John Crutchfield. She's like, I should be down the QVC network right now. John Crutchfield of Artemis Gallery makes a lot of pins and earrings and stuff like that in his own style, metallic art. And it's check it out. It's Artemis Gallery in Richmond, and he goes all over the country selling stuff like this, and he's like one of my best friends, and so I always wear stuff, and whenever someone you didn't point it out, but when people do point it out when they see me on the street, I always have, and I have like about 20 of these. I always have to give a little speech like I just did. So
my friend Ginger sells that kind of stuff too.
Ginger.
Ginger
Okay.
Pennington. I went to school with her.
Ginger's a lovely
friends.
woman, and Ginger. Actually, I met her at that same place.
Oh,
so Ginger is like a protege of that guy. So look up Ginger. Ginger is a great artist and everything. So but until Ginger comes, Ginger should be on the show. But until she comes on the show, I have no. No, I love Ginger. She's great.
Yeah, I went to school with her.
You went to school with her.
We've known each other for years too.
I went to school with so many people.
So did I.
I gotta ask you something. This came up yesterday. When somebody you went to school with that you hadn't seen in like 10 years or so asks you to be a friend on the internet, do you immediately say yes, or do you like think about I didn't really talk to that person when I was in school with them?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes they're like mean kids.
Yeah, no.
And they may
back in the day.
Yeah, some kids are mean, and then they want to be friends on the internet. Oh, let me tell you something. Something they'll say that sometimes they'll have some guy that goes, "We suggest that person should be a good friend to you on the internet." And I said, "No." I felt like I should say something. Right. No, I don't want them. I don't want to see their ugly face when I went to school with them. Now I have to see it every time.
Exactly.
Not only do I have to see their ugly face if they were friends of mine, I have to see their ugly face every time I'm on the internet because would you like to would you like to have him as a friend? No.
Yeah, just like I had people at my old church, used to bully me a lot too.
Well, we're all bullies. I don't want people I used to work with that I don't work with anymore that were not very nice to me.
Right.
I don't want people I went to school with. I don't want a whole bunch of them. I don't want ex new boyfriends of ex-girlfriends. People are always like telling me, women, and they're always telling me, how come you always such a jerk around guys whenever I try to introduce you to a new male friend? I said, because I don't like him. And believe it or not, I don't think he likes me either. Now, play nice.
Yeah.
2 40-year-old men playing nice. Yeah. So the last thing I want to do is that.
Right.
So I have this. Okay, now this shirt is not much, but the shirt is kind of cool because the shirt is it's kind of hard to see on TV, but it's
colors.
It's like red, white, and blue dots. It looks like the planetarium on my chest. It looks really cool, and when I saw it's one of those things where you see it in the store and you just buy it. It's man, I know I'm going to find a use for this somehow. Trouble is when you wear a shirt like this, there's nothing you could put on it because the shirt is the thing. So I try to find something to wear today. Today is Super Bowl Saturday. It's the last day I'll ever get a chance until next year to wear this tie. This tie has this is kind of an old tie, so the labels are kind of old on there. But this is about 20 years. This tie was popular 20 years. So you have all these, teams and everything. I even have the old Washington Redskins thing.
Yeah.
which they don't have anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
It's on there, and the Giants, everyone's favorite team, and every team I hate is on here too. So it's equal opportunity.
Yeah.
Every team is on there. In fact, I'm a New York Giants fan, and there's the old Giants thing right there.
Okay.
So and I think it looks good. With
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
No such thing as a bad tie. And so I thought I'd wear, but I thought I'd be doing shows with I do shows with men too, Vinnie Mac and Keith, but I thought I'd be wearing it for them. But you're the only game in town in my life right now, so I guess I'm gonna have to wear the football tie with you.
Right.
Do you like the Super Bowl?
I don't really watch it a whole lot. If I were to watch it, I'd do it for the commercials.
The commercials.
Yeah, I'm not really into sports that much.
Yeah.
Except I could go see a baseball game in person. Or
You like baseball?
Yeah.
Baseball's good.
Yeah.
Baseball's a great sport. Baseball, I think, is the best sport.
Yeah.
I mean, I love just to sit and watch the ball game.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm there. The one thing I'm scared about when I go to a baseball game is that those baseballs are really fast. They're thrown fast. Mm-hmm. They're thrown almost 100 miles an hour by some pitchers.
Right.
And then the guy will hit it. It's a foul.
Right.
And it'll go into the stands.
Right.
And it might just be headed for me as line drive. I actually saw at Parker Field, at the Diamond, someone get hit in the face with one, and blood was coming out, and they had to go. They get the. And I said, man, that's a high price to pay to go to a ball game,
Yeah, I remember one time years ago. This was like a while back. My dad and I were taking a walk around the park.
Yeah.
At Rockwood.
Yeah.
And they were playing. There was a team that was playing like softball or baseball or something. I was walking by them. All of a sudden, the ball came so fast it hit my ankle.
Hit your ankle, okay.
I was like,
and you didn't see it coming.
I didn't see it coming.
Man.
But I almost was in pain. I was.
Could break your ankle.
Yeah.
Could shatter your ankle.
I was upset too.
Yeah.
I mean,
did you have to go to the doctor or anything?
No, I didn't. But a lot of people asked if I was okay.
You walked it off.
Yeah, but
that's what the coach tells you.
Just
walk it off. Wait a minute, I'm not on this team.
But still, I was in shock though.
Yeah.
When you're in pain, when all of a sudden you get hurt.
Yeah.
And you're just like in shock, like
Yeah.
That's how I felt. So.
But it's weird. Like when you're playing baseball, it's not as bad as.
Right.
As actually just being a fan, and here comes the because you're not used to that. Like you said, the ball coming towards you. Baseball, what's kind of neat about baseball though,
right?
Is that, and this is a difference between between regular people playing softball and you go into a baseball game,
right?
Is that hitting is a lot of fun,
right?
And you get these big scores at the end of the game, 35-32,
right?
And the game lasts forever because so much hitting. And this is when you're playing with your friends. But when you see the game on television or at the ballpark, even high school or college, they're such good players and there's such teamwork and they all in the fielding and the game goes by in about 2.5 hours or so.
Right.
And one thing that all little kids are just enthralled about when they watch baseball is that when the ball is hitting the outfield, the outfielder is there and he catches it pretty easily. A fly ball to the outfield and the guy catches it the out.
Right.
But when it happens in your own, you're running around trying to find that ball, and then it bounces behind you, and then the guy's running the bases, and you have to keep throwing it and everything, and that's why there's so much scoring. It's hard to believe. How do they know how to catch the ball? Some guy said he's not gonna. He plays softball. He's like in his 50s, and he said that if. He says, I'm not going to knock myself out at my age because the ball is 5 feet in front of me, 5 feet behind me, 5 feet to the side of me. He goes, it's an automatic home run.
Right.
I'm not going to run after it, hurt myself trying to catch it. So, but that's baseball. Baseball's starting soon.
Yeah.
But football, do you ever I'm sure in the past you've gone to Super Bowl parties and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's the Super Bowl parties. Won't have them this year because of the COVID-19. But they were great in the day. You would go there. You would eat all this junk food. Food you would never, or in my case, never eat. One time a year I eat this food.
Yeah.
The chicken wings and the pizza and all that stuff. It's good,
Yeah.
And there's no salad or Perrier or quiche.
Yeah.
It's all
junk food.
It's all junk food.
Yeah.
And beer, of course, and soda. And then what would happen is Everybody just be eating this stuff, okay? And then the ball game starts. You're not really paying too much attention if you're not, like you said, if you're not into the game.
Right.
Near the end, it might get exciting when it looks like some team might pull, might win. But then you would, then there'd be a commercial, and everything would stop. All right, we got to watch the new Bud Light commercial. We got to see the new Master Lock commercial, or the new car commercial, or something.
Right.
And a lot of those commercials are only shown the one time.
Right.
So you watch them, and then they show a lot of them during the week before running up to the game on all the entertainment shows and everything. I said, I don't want to see that. I want to see it the day of the Super Bowl, so so it's all a surprise to me. Then the next day, I tune in on the internet to explain if it was successful or not.
Right.
Bud Light advertises so much. I'm not sure they're doing it this year. I think a lot of these companies are not. It's like $5 million for 30 seconds, or $5.5 million for. I mean, it's a good crowd to watch it, but Bud Light does these ads, and I don't know anyone who drinks Bud Light. Unless they have to. It's like the end of the party. All that's left is a case of Bud Light. That's what we'll drink.
All right.
And a lot of commercials are kind of weird, like car commercials.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever want to buy a car because you like the commercial? No. You buy the car because, oh, look, I only have this much money. Buying a new car, forget about it.
Right.
I buy mine at the used car lot after someone else broke it in. So I think Larry King once said that he thought that the Super Bowl ad was a terrible way to spend your money because everyone's talking amongst themselves. No one's really paying attention. And a lot of times you don't even know what's advertised until the end of the thing, and you forgot at that point. You just remember how funny the commercial was. Or you're talking to somebody, They made a big fuss one year at the Super Bowl where they just had a minute of dead silence as a way to, now you could go to the bathroom, now you can go to the refrigerator.
Right.
And so we lost, in those days, something like $2.5 million by that. Look what big shots we are. Somebody said, people walk out anyway. But I really do like the Super Bowl. I do go to the Super Bowl. I mean, go to the parties and everything, or even watch it at home.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the parties. I don't really care about football that much. I just like to just go and talk and have a party.
Is your dad a sports fan? What sports does he like?
Well, kind of, but he.
Well, does he have a favorite team, for example?
I think he likes the Redskins.
The Redskins, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not.
The Washington Redhawks.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it's called now.
I don't know what they're called.
Yeah. I don't...
A rose by any other name.
Yeah.
Would smell just like a football sneakers.
Yeah, my dad used to go to Super Bowls all the time.
The parties?
He is his ex-girlfriend's friends would have, Super Bowl parties every year.
I get invited to Super Bowl parties, but I'm not invited this year.
Oh, yeah, because
there aren't any, and I won't go to a bar to see it.
Yeah.
And I won't go to... So I'm usually just stuck at home. I mean, this year, I'm usually just stuck at home watching it with, whatever, a bowl of soup or something.
Yeah, I mean, even though I don't like football, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just like to, have fun at the Super Bowl, like just to talk and, do a party. But other than that, I'm not going to watch football.
My favorite. I got to tell you something about television.
Yeah.
You're going to love this.
Yeah.
I brought this video,
right?
And it had something to do with television. Mm-hmm. In the day of Showtime, there was a tomorrow there's going to be a Super Bowl. They always put on a new show after the Super Bowl. The network that has it, and they're putting on a new version of The Equalizer.
Oh yeah.
And The Equalizer was my favorite show in the day. I just loved The Equalizer, and that British guy that was the head guy. His name was Edward Woodward.
Yes.
White, old guy.
Mm-hmm.
Old. I mean, I'm close to his age now, but at the time he was like my grandfather. At the time. But it was such a good show back in the '80s. So I'm so excited. There's been a few Denzel Washington movies in the meantime about The Equalizer. None as good as the earlier TV show.
Right.
So anyway, this was my favorite show, The Equalizer. I'm cleaning out all my stuff in my apartment, going through like DVDs and CDs, but I'm also going through cassette tapes, video cassette tapes, and everything. And I bought this for a good reason. It's Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Yeah.
Uncle Tom's Cabin. And I must have spent at Hollywood Video at Willow Lawn close to like $20 for it.
Wow.
And then just, I don't know, meaning to see it. And this was 1987.
Oh, wow. I was 7 years old.
And I was old enough to watch The Equalizer in those days. But it's 33 years ago, 34 years ago almost. And I realized that I had never seen it. I put it in a box and I'd never seen it. I was so excited. The reason why I got it was, Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Right.
And the Equalizer, the actor who played the Equalizer, he's also in the original Wicker Man and Breaker Morant.
Wow.
He's dead now, but he was this great British actor called Edward Woodward. The reason why I got this was I was into that Equalizer fervor, and Uncle Tom's Cabin is one of the most famous books ever written. It was written in the 1850s by Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Right.
Abraham Lincoln said this book brought upon the Civil War.
Yeah.
Because it made slaves very sympathetic. It was all from the slaves' point of view. What the pre-slavery days were like.
Right.
So it had Avery Brooks, who I think was on Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
He plays Uncle Tom, and then Felicia Rashad from the Cosby Show plays his wife, I think. And then the Equalizer, the actor playing the Equalizer, played Simon Legree, who was one of the meanest villains ever in a book. He was the slave master in these whipping slaves and being just a mean guy. And I had to see the Equalizer play him. And guess what? I knew where I was going to do the show today. Last night, because I still have a VCR. Right. I opened this up and saw it for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And it was, and after 33 years, I could finally say I saw this movie.
No wonder it's in pretty good shape.
It was pretty good shape.
Yeah.
It broke the seal on it. It's still in the plastic. But it was never opened or even looked at for 30 years, more than 30 years.
Oh.
So, by the way, if you see on the cover, it's Samuel L. Jackson, who's, you know Samuel L. Jackson. He's the actor that's in.
I like him.
That he is in everything.
Wow.
There's not. The old joke about Samuel Jackson is that I was looking at my old home movies. Why is Samuel Jackson in them?
Oh wow.
He shows up in everything.
Yeah.
So he has a small part in it. But because I guess at the time he was becoming this big star, he's on the cover of this as if it's his film. He's not even in the opening credits. He actually plays George, the slave who runs off with Felicia Rashad to safety in Canada.
Oh wow, yeah.
Gave up. If you haven't read Uncle Tom's Cabin, then I suggest you go back to middle school and read it.
Yeah.
Everyone should know it. Anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Uncle Tom and Little Eva and all those people. Yeah.
Right.
So I finally saw this, and I think one of the first times I ever saw Samuel Jackson was, I think he might have been on the Jeffersons or something.
I think so.
I mean, as a guest appearance.
I know. I saw a guy the other day on it.
Who?
I'm trying to think.
Sherman Hemsley.
Yeah, he's been on there. He's been on there though.
No, but anyway,
there was another guy.
You like the Jeffersons?
I do.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. The Jeffersons was a funny show, but there was some controversy about it years ago, where about racism and all that, because there was a white guy that was married to a African American woman.
I remember.
And then they had, mixed race children, two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
the first show I remember ever seeing a mixed race couple on.
Yes.
In real life, She's Lenny Kravitz's mother in real life.
Yes, I know.
She had a white
Roxy
husband in real life.
Roker, yeah.
She's the cousin of Al Roker.
Yes.
She actually had a white husband in real life.
Yes.
And my real name is Kravitz. So
every time Kravitz is his name.
Yeah. So every time she would come on the Jeffersons,
right,
my dad would say, "That's Mrs. Kravitz there. That's Mrs. Kravitz." So.
Yeah, and
the black Mrs. Kravitz.
Yeah.
Which, let's face it, you don't meet black people named Kravitz. So I'm very happy that, and then she had the son Lenny Kravitz and went on.
Yeah.
And he's still popular. So, and he was married to Lisa Bonet.
Yeah.
And on the Cosby Show, and then my dad, after pretty much the Jeffersons was over and the Cosby Show was starting, my dad would say, "There's Mrs. Kravitz there." New Mrs. Kravitz.
Yeah.
So tell me about the Willises. That's what their name is.
Yeah, the Willises, they were really funny. Okay, the Willises.
Really? I didn't find the Willises all that funny.
Well, I mean, the Jeffersons were mostly
The
funny.
Jeffersons were funny.
But Florence, the maid, oh my gosh,
was very
she was
funny.
Hilarious.
You can't have everyone funny on a show. Some people, I remember Mr. Willis was kind of a stuffed shirt. Always getting mad and always losing his temper. And that was funny, but he didn't say anything funny.
And George used to fight all the time.
George and him used to fight all the time.
Because
everyone fought with George.
George was a little funny on some things, like racism and all that.
The way I saw the Jeffersons was that he was this tough guy from the old neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then he became a big shot millionaire and owned a house, a deluxe apartment, as they say. And what happened was he even though he was living in this new world of champagne and cocktails and late night lobster parties and everything, he was still that guy inside and always felt kind of insecure having to deal with going to the opera and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah.
The wife, I think, was better suited than he was.
His wife always took up for people, whoever he insulted.
Yeah.
She'll be like, "George, why didn't you do that for her?" Or something like that. In
real life, Louise, the actress who played Louise, was almost 20 years older than he was.
Wow.
But they looked the same. He looked older than his age, and she looked younger than his age, so it kind of met in the middle.
Yeah.
He was actually quite young in that show, like in the early 30s.
Yeah.
And he was already playing like a guy, I guess you would think, in his 50s.
Yeah. It's a good show, though. I mean, I thought it was funny.
Norman Lear produced it. They had a...
he produced the Golden Girls as well, too.
No, he produced All in the Family.
Yeah, and Designing Women, I think. Right?
No, that was the Bloodworth Thomases.
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot of shows... A lot of these people you're mentioning, they all had their day, and I think in the case of Norman Lear, the 70s were his decade.
Yeah.
I think Designing Women was the 80s, and then the Paul Junger Witt, who produced the Golden Girls, that was there. That was about the
Paul
90s.
Junger
Was it? The same people that did that, I think, did It's a Living and Soap before the Golden Girls. You have to remember, a lot of these shows, they're testing out how to do it, so they're kind of rusty and stuff. But then probably by like their third or fourth show that they have big hit success with, that's when they come into they know how it's done at that point. And that's why the Golden Girls is so, even though the other shows are good, Golden Girls was like
I love the
genius.
Golden Girls. I love the Golden Girls.
That's one show that you will always laugh at.
Right.
To me, the Golden Girls really is one of the funniest shows. You can still watch it today; it's still funny.
Yeah.
Designing Women still pretty funny.
I like Designing Women too.
Designing Women. I like the idea they just sit around and not do anything. It's just
They just like sit on their couches.
And you never see them work. That's my kind of job. They work for the government or something. I always thought on Designing Women, if somebody knocked on the door and said, "We have a job offer for you," tell them we're not home. I don't want to get off the couch and actually do some work.
Lord Jesus.
But what else can I tell you about the Jeffersons? The maid on it, Florence the maid,
Yes.
went on to the other show. She was even bigger hit
Called
on
227.
that. 227.
I love 227.
And that was a good show too. But
It was
I remember she. The story goes about her,
Her name
in
was
real
Carla
life.
Gibbs.
She's still around. She wasn't sure when she got the job on the Jeffersons that the show wasn't going to be canceled in like 3 months or something.
Right.
So for the first 2 years of the show, she was still a flight attendant on the airline.
Yeah. Wow.
So you could actually be watching the Jeffersons last night, and then go on there, and the woman would be, would you like a hot towel, sir? Would you like in a uniform? And then I'm sure every once in a while say, "Are you the woman on the Jeffersons?" Oh no.
I didn't know she was a flight attendant, though.
I mean, not only was she a flight attendant, she was on a flight attendant while that show was on.
Wow, wow.
Flight attendant's a good job.
Yeah.
Except I don't think they pay very well. I was looking for work once for maybe about 20 years ago or so.
Uh-huh.
So they had an ad in the want ad. This is before the internet.
Right.
They had an ad in the want ads, and they said, well, more like 30 years now that I think about it. And they said, they had an ad in the want ads, and they said, good career as a flight attendant. Mm-hmm. And I thought, that's a great job. I could just fly all over the place, and the pay was so little. I mean, it was basically not much more than probably working in an office.
Right.
And if not, maybe not even that much more. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe it was the same. Like working at a cubicle and, just typing all day. Being a flight attendant, I thought, for that amount of money, I'm going to risk my life every time going on a plane.
I know.
You know?
I know. It's not really.
I mean, I don't think a medicine ball, a wrecking ball, is going to come to my office and knock it over and kill me.
Yeah, I know. It's not.
But every time I go on a plane, I think I could have it.
Right.
It could fall out of the sky.
It's not really worth it.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
But then you ask flight attendants about that.
Right.
And they said, we deal with turbulence. We get used to it.
Right.
But if you're on a plane once or twice a year, it's like the end of the world to you, but to them it's
right.
It's happened. This is the third time it's happened today.
Yeah.
Well, the pilot will land it
right,
safely.
Right.
And so the only person I think I've ever seen from the Jeffersons in real life, I was in Los Angeles and saw a show called Anything for Love with Jamie Lee Curtis and Richard Lewis. I mean, I was in the audience.
Right.
You do a lot of crazy things when you're a studio audience of a show. You go, so when they play it back, when you see it on the show, you go, oh, that was me yelling. You try to only do it once. You don't want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I think I did that.
Yeah.
I waited for a lot of laughter, a big laugh, and then I was like, everyone's laughing, and then at the end, I got the last laugh. A lot of people do that.
Right.
I've heard. So anyway, but Bentley was the Englishman.
Yes.
He was in the audience, and I shook his hand.
Yeah.
He was like sitting right just a few feet from me.
Oh.
I don't know why a guy from a show would sit and watch someone else tape a show.
Yeah.
But he was there. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think the Jeffersons were on in those days. I think it was. I tell you when it was. The early '90s, sometime. Yeah.
So they cancanceled the Jeffersons in 1984.
Yeah, so he was already. He might have had jobs since then, but at that point he wasn't on the Jeffersons.
Right.
Paul Benedict.
Yeah.
Who used to be on? He was also on Sesame Street for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean he was like one of the human not one of the Muppets.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man. So I would. So we talk a lot about old time stuff and everything. I've been listening to this on the I got the CD and it's so good and it's Mario Lanza.
Oh, he is awesome.
You like Mario Lanza?
Yeah, I have his record back there on my stash.
This is a rarity, a CD with him on.
I have.
Seems like everyone has LPs. Their parents' LPs. There's like 2 or 3 of these.
I have his 2 record greatest hits set.
Okay, well this is not the greatest hits. Do you remember any of the songs on there?
I'm not really sure, but I have it back on my stash. So.
If you don't know anything about Mario Lanza, he was this very popular movie star from 1949, 1959.
And an opera singer too.
Well, I'll tell you, you assume he's an opera singer because he had an operatic voice.
Right, yeah.
But he was really just a movie star. He appeared in like 10 movies, and they were all big successes. They were in color and MGM, big production. He, as an actor, was so-so, but he had some voice.
Right.
He was, I think, in World War II, and he would sing. It got word of mouth that he was this great singer. I think he might have appeared on like the Ed Sullivan Show or something a couple of times in the late 40s, the Colgate Comedy Hour, one of these shows. And then they said, well, let's put him in movies. He's from Philadelphia. He had this wonderful career, but he became too famous too fast. And in 1959, he died suddenly.
They were straining his voice.
From
what my grandfather told me.
That could have happened. That happened to Caruso, who he played in The Great Caruso, and that's the end of The Great Caruso. If you don't know anything about his movies, The Great Caruso is great.
So in the movie, he was, died.
Well, he was sort of so well identified as Caruso that people started. Maybe in his head he started to think he was a better singer than he was. Yeah. He was the critics didn't really care for his voice.
Right.
As far as opera singing goes,
I thought he
was he sang a lot. Oh, people loved him.
He's the best.
And there are these two. There's a really good movie called Heavenly Creatures. First movie by Peter Jackson. Made all the Lord of the Rings movies, and it stars Kate Winslet. It was like her first movie. Okay. And they play these two very evil teenagers based on a true story in Australia who murdered their mother, and they become big Mario Lanza fans, and they're constantly playing his music, and they're almost feel telepathically that they know Mario Lanza in the film. It's a wild movie. Wow. He's not even in this movie because he's been dead since 1959. But and the movie was made, I think, in the 90s. It was the first thing Kate. So anything you saw with Kate Winslet was made before that. And then Peter Jackson's his first movie, and he's gone to become this great director. But Heavenly Creature, and there's all this Mario Lanza music. It's awful. An evil murder film has all this Mario Lanza music in it, but it's quite the movie. Well, anyway, so this movie, so Mario Lanza, the story goes, was that he had a weight problem, and he may have gained 100 pounds, or I don't know if he gained 100 pounds, but he had to lose 100 pounds really fast to play a part in a movie, and he went to Italy and tried at some sort of fat farm, they called it, to lose. And he lost maybe 100 pounds in 1 month. I'm sure that's not safe. Interesting. And what happened was it may have had gave him a heart attack, whatever stuff he was doing. He died very mysteriously. Yeah. His wife died like a year later of a broken heart. And he had a few children and everything. Right. So anyway, but then there's talk, the conspiracies and everything. They think that maybe the gangsters told him to do a show or do a movie, and he said, "Nah, I'm not listening to you," and then they could have killed him. Yeah. But anyway, so no one really knows how he died. But, he did try to lose 100 pounds in 1 month, which is never a good set. But anyway, Mario Lanza was, the story goes, nobody saw this unless you were in the audience. Right. He was in one opera in Italy. He was like a last-minute replacement, and they told the people in the audience that very popular American movie star is going to be in the opera tonight, and he was the lead guy. It was like a Verdi opera or a Puccini opera, and he sang, and everyone was amazed how great he was. They said, this man should not be in movies. He should be in the opera. He should be in La Scala. Right. He should be at the, in Vienna or all the New York Metropolitan or something. And but sadly, it never went. But now people have all his record albums. He was one of the first major singers to be in stereo. Oh. I mean, when stereo, not that he was the first, but when stereo became popular, I guess in the late 1950s, a lot of his stuff sold because it sounded so much better than those rickety those monaural those 78s. His was full bodied. I mean, you hear him now on a CD like this. It sounds like he's right beside you singing them. And then this guy died so many years ago. So anyway, what happened was, don't pay any attention. So anyway,
this is Cathy.
I'm usually pretty good about this. Ah! There you go. So anyway, what happened was, the reason why I got this is that it's two musicals. One's called The Desert Song, and the other, which he is not in the movie anyway. And the other one is The Student Prince, which his voice is in it, but not him. Evidently, he had trouble with the producers. He was going to star in it. They thought he was too heavy to play the romantic lead.
Yeah.
So he had already recorded all the vocals. So they used his vocals. So a different actor who couldn't sing,
Right.
who looked the part, played the part of the Student Prince. Student Prince, and the most famous song is "Drink, Drink, Drink." To I said, "There's always on me." Drink, 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 and that's the main thing. But there are a lot of good songs in it. There was a time, probably up and through the 1940s, where there were these musicals, not like the musicals of the day, like Andrew Lloyd Webber or Stephen Sondheim, or people like that. There were these musicals that never went away. Now they're gone. The Student Prince, The Desert Song, the Rosemary, the Naughty Marietta, all these things, and they all had to do with like love and a man who's misunderstood, and he takes a life of adventure in the Canadian mountains, or in the Foreign Legion or somewhere, or in the or he becomes a sheik, or he's a prince in Europe, and they were so popular, these musicals, and now about the only time you ever hear this music, which they thought was never going to go away, is like if you happen to find a Mary Alonso album, or someone in the day like Nelson Eddy, or James Melton, or people. There were all these popular singers of the day that sang like popular songs of the day with an operatic voice.
Right.
The crooners like Bing Crosby and stuff were getting like very popular, which was singing in like a normal tone of voice.
Right.
But people didn't want to.
Yeah.
People still wanted to hear like the operatic singers. So so I was thinking maybe our theater should put on these old shows because they were really good.
Oh yeah.
Nelson Eddy and Jeanette MacDonald. I mean, you could still see the movies on TCM. And I when I'm calling you, oh Rosemary, I love you. You know that song? Then I'm always thinking. You probably know the Slim Whitman version.
Yeah.
And so
when I'm calling you.
Yeah. Oh, those were great. Those were wonderful shows. I mean, they're very old fashioned.
I think my mom used to sing that to me when I was a kid.
Yeah, why?
Because when
I'm calling you.
You know what's funny about that part?
Right.
Is like I remember she used to call my name Mary, and then she'll be like, "When I'm calling you."
Oh man!
Because she couldn't get my attention or something.
I have a joke about that.
Yeah.
I had a dog named. I didn't know what to name him, so I named him Ricola.
Oh.
Like the coughs.
I didn't know you had a dog.
Like the cough drop Ricola. You know those Ricola cough drops?
Yeah.
So I used to go outside when I couldn't find him, goes, Ricola! Ricola!
Ricola!
I never had a dog. I've had very few pets in my life. I'm never home. My pets are my friends.
Palmer's your friend?
Yeah, as I tell my friends, if you ever need a friend in show business, buy a dog. Man's best friend is his dog. And a woman's best friend are diamonds. Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's see. Oh man, we have time for maybe one album. You have an album to show us?
Yes, I have.
We've been talking so much about videos and old time TV and old time theater and old time singers, and now's the LP part of the show. This show would have been great in the 1970s.
Yeah.
Within a modern show. All right. Oh, there
Miles
you go.
Davis. Greatest hits.
Miles Davis' wife just died.
Cicely Tyson.
Cicely Tyson.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of people know Cicely was older than Miles
Yeah.
by like 2 years or so. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Miles Davis' greatest hits. It's a good album, too.
Miles.
It has about all of his hits in it, you know.
Miles is a very hard guy to listen to. He doesn't play music very. He doesn't. He's not very melodious. He's almost like an artist.
Right.
I mean, like abstract, like a painter paints music.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so different and so good. He Miles, you could tell by his face, he was a very good-looking man in the day, and he used to dress really nice and everything in the 1950s. He started off with the Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie bands.
Oh yeah.
And he's part of the bebop thing. And then near the end, when bebop became popular, he was there sort of at the end. And he was always popular, I think, through the early 1960s and stuff. Starting in the late 1960s, he invented a form of music called fusion, which was take rock and roll sounds and meld them with old-time jazz.
Right.
Not old-time jazz like popular music like Gershwin type music or something, but actually his type of like bebop, with basically a lot of just a lot of notes, and then they would pair it with a rock and roll sound. They would take popular songs every once in a while, but he had two really great albums that really put these over. One was called Sketches of Spain, which he did with Gil Evans, which was all Spanish music or Spanish sounding music, and then he would come in and play what he did well. He played the trumpet. Bitches Brew came out, which was a 2-record thing, which was fusion. And I have to admit about Miles was that when I got into Miles stuff, I knew everything about him at this point. He didn't change for me, so I said, well, I kind of like his older stuff better than the new stuff. He himself said jazz man has to move forward, and he actually was the one who said jazz is dead. I have to do something new, which was fusion. All of his last albums were still in that rock and roll jazz stuff. You never heard it on the radio. You had to buy the album, saw him in concert, that type of thing. And but Miles was, so anyway, near the end of his career, he died in the late 80s. He was still a relatively young man in his 60s, I think. He there was a kind of resurgence in the old time way of jazz, used to be like from the 90s, where he started. And Wynton Marsalis also plays the trumpet. He was sort of saying that Miles is a great performer, but he should go back to his old roots and stuff. This new stuff is lousy and stuff. And then Miles had the famous quote about Wynton Marsalis. Said if I could play like Wynton, I wouldn't. And I think he got a lot of this near the end, Miles. And like a year before he died at the Montreux Jazz Festival in France, I think it's in France. He showed up with Quincy Jones's big band.
Oh yeah, I like Quincy Jones.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this was Quincy Jones' style of the 1950s, not Quincy Jones with like Michael Jackson stuff. So he arranged like a big band, like a 50s style band, headlined one concert with Miles Davis, which became an album, and they might have been released posthumously. And Wynton just played his heart out, just like he did in the 1950s, and he basically pretty much said to all those people who thought he couldn't play like that anymore, he goes, I could play like that on my worst day. So don't tell me how I should be playing. This he was always very innovative, even among the bebop people. I mean, pretty much Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker didn't last very long, but Dizzy continued to play through the 1990s and still was sort of playing stuff from the 1950s. Nostalgia. In other words, Miles Davis was a guy from the olden days that did not play old music. He continued. He was always doing something new and everything. He came to Richmond one time in 1987, and when I got to see him, and you know, there's no singing in it on his show. He plays the trumpet. There's all that fusion. He famously had an all black band, all African American band.
Right.
This band, he had like half were white, half were black. At that point, color didn't matter. You know.
Yeah.
They said that he wasn't very friendly to white people, but he was very nice to me.
Yeah.
And the only thing I could tell you about Miles when I met him was that I'll show you a picture in the comments. Was that I asked him a few questions and he answered them very politely and everything, but he did not shake your hand. I didn't extend the hand, but these guys who play, and this is probably good now with COVID, people don't shake hands anymore either.
Right.
But when they play when they use their hands for their craft, you know, playing the piano, the trumpet. I have a friend, Johnny, also juggles and stuff. They don't want to put their hands in jeopardy because they make their living with their hands.
Right.
I mean, I make my living with my mouth, but if I got a broken finger, I can still yammer and yammer and yammer. If I was Miles, I couldn't do anything with my thing. Also, he didn't shake hands because you didn't want some guy with a big grip just squeeze the heck out of your hand.
Right.
And then you're like that.
Yeah.
I have to cancel tonight's show.
Yeah.
So Miles, I think Miles died of pneumonia, and Miles was married a few times. Miles was kind of a rough guy from the history I read about him, but he was nice to me.
Yeah.
Most people are nice to me.
He's still a good artist, you know? Yeah.
Oh, and near the end, of course, even though I said he always dressed well,
right.
The last probably 20 years of his life, he had big hair and African clothes and real fancy.
Wow.
I mean, he didn't even look like a regular person. I mean, he was the type of guy, if you saw him walk on the show, that's Miles already.
Okay.
That's Miles already.
Yeah.
And Miles is Miles is like the greatest music to play if you're just if you just want to hang out.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a sunny day and there's sort of something cool about that 1950s jazz music that's just so cool.
Right.
That I mean, you almost feel you're transported back to New York in the 1950s every time I listen to like bebop music or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, more so that than if I heard like Elvis or Chuck Berry or something.
Right.
There's something. There's just this. I don't know. This walking on air coolness about jazz. 'Cause jazz, I was never. I gotta tell you, I think I told you this before. I used to hate jazz. And I was on a college radio station, and I didn't really know what jazz was. I mean, I always thought of like Glenn Miller and Benny Goodman. You know, I thought jazz was like big band stuff. Maybe Louis Armstrong singing "Hello Dolly," that was jazz to me. Guy Lombardo of New Year's Eve, that was jazz to me. So then what happened was, to me, it was just a lot of noise, really.
Right.
Like Miles Davis, first time you hear even this greatest hits, you're gonna hear a lot of noise.
Right.
So then I live in Ireland, and they don't listen to jazz at all. Or at least in those days, they had no jazz at all. But they still had the records, and they still had at the libraries you could check out and bring them home and listen to them. Yeah. So I would, for some reason, after maybe 6 months living in Ireland, I lived there for 3 years. After 6 months, I said, I kind of miss the American music. I kind of miss the jazz music for some reason. I had no reason why I missed it. So then I checked out some like Miles and Father Hines, Dizzy Gillespie, any jazz,
right,
and 1920s jazz, 1940s jazz, 1950s jazz, and then that jazz music became my favorite music.
Wow.
And this was from a guy that maybe 2 years before didn't want to hear jazz at all.
Wow.
So when you say, I don't like country music or I don't like classical music, give it a chance. Chances are it may fill a hole in you that you didn't know needed filling, and then it may be what makes you happy in life. So I always use Miles as an example of that. Yeah. I think when he said that jazz was dead, I think he said it right after Ornette Coleman did his last the album called Free Jazz, which was basically just 20 minutes on each side. It was just him just playing noise and improvisation. Said this is as far as jazz can go. He says he can't do anything more with it. So that's when Miles went to the fusion stuff. I'm not a big fan of fusion, but if I'm not paying attention to it, I could have it playing.
I like any kind of jazz. So.
You like all jazz?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite? Who are your favorite jazz people?
Of course, I like Miles Davis.
Yeah.
I like Count Basie.
Oh yeah.
I like.
Oh, he was great.
Duke Ellington.
Oh yeah.
I like Billie Holiday.
Yeah.
I like Ella Fitzgerald. I like Louis Armstrong.
Yeah. Well, they're all the best.
I like all of them.
Yeah. And it's really good if you get a chance to listen. We'll maybe talk about it on another show.
Right.
But a good introduction to jazz is Benny Goodman. Had a lot
I
of,
love Billy.
But Benny Goodman had all the.
Sorry.
Benny Goodman in his day was had the big band and was very popular and everything, but he actually after a while had the Benny Goodman Quartet.
Yeah.
And it was him and it wasn't like a typical big band music. It was basically like what was the precursor to bebop. There was. I can tell you who was it. There were members of his band, and they became famous in the quartet. There was Benny Goodman on clarinet, Charlie Christian on the electric guitar, there's Teddy Wilson on the piano, and Gene Krupa on the drums, and Lionel Hampton on the harp, vibra-harp, or I like to call it the xylophone. That's what, and you put all that together. No big background. It's all just 5 guys all playing solos, and that's really so. I suggest you go and find the Benny Goodman Quartet or Benny Goodman Quintet. You can find a lot of good stuff. Yeah. All right. So I guess what a show!
That was great.
That was good. Take it away.
I just want to say thank you all for tuning in, and may God bless you all. Take care of yourselves.
It's good to have you. You've been watching the Mary Elizabeth Variety Hour. I think we hit a milestone. I think it's number 20. I think it's number 20.
Yes.
And so we will see you again very soon next week. My name is Kaye Lazar. This is Mary Elizabeth. Send them away. Take it away.
Love you all. God bless. Take care.